Hey everybody, welcome back to Sounds Like a Drum, Kane's independent media production. Today, we are talking about placebo effect when it comes to our gear, watching music, and making sure that we are using this to our advantage and not having our lives run by it. Just to get it out of the way, because I'm certain that some of you out there know the literal definition of a placebo effect, we are talking colloquially today. This is not the medical definition of placebo, but as it relates to gear and playing and every aspect of being a musician on the drum set, we want to talk about the ways that our perceptions get affected by what we see and not just by what we hear. Recently, we did an episode about traditional grip versus matched grip, and this came up an awful lot in the comments right out of the gate, so we felt it incumbent upon us to dive in hard on this and make sure that we can touch on every part of the experience as it relates to making judgments about what we are hearing based on what we're seeing and not understanding all the other stuff going on behind the scenes, underneath, all of the rest of it. Before we go any further, we'd like to do an unusual demonstration today. We're going to show a visual, no audio. Be right back. Here, you know what? Let's do another one. Now here's the question. What do you think that sounds like based on what it looks like? This is something that anyone who performs in any way does have to think about on some degree, because if you are being observed while you are doing your performance, people are making judgments based on what they see, and a lot of the time, those judgments are not what you as the performer think they are. Now, conversely, if you're in the audience, as we all have been at some point, there's a high likelihood that we ourselves have made judgments about what we were seeing that were also wildly inaccurate and didn't take everything into account that's actually happening on stage. We decided to employ some unorthodox things in our setup today relative to what we normally do to help accentuate this issue. We have a really fun drum from 3rd and 4th Drum Company today, which we rarely use in episodes because it has a really special sound, has a calf tone batter on it. We mounted the ride cymbal high and steep. We have the hi-hats as high up as they'll go, and I have the top cymbal cranked down. These are all things that I wouldn't normally do, and if I saw someone on stage, even I would probably make some unconscious judgments about what I would expect from them. This is the first in a multi-part series about perception and about the placebo effect as it relates to music, and in the future, we're going to go deeper into the gear consumer aspect of it. But really quickly, do you make any judgments about a ride cymbal that has no logos on it? Do you make judgments about hi-hats that say Sound Lab prototype on them? Do you make judgments about a snare drum with single flange hoops and claws and a calf-style batter head on there? What does that effect have on you as a viewer of music? In addition to striving for the purest drum sounds on here with little to no post-production at all and using the same drums at any time that we can, we go even further than that to get these kinds of things out of the way, such as no logos on the shirts anymore, same color background all the time, same visual every time you turn on an episode of this show. This is to bring focus back to the sound you're hearing and limit, whenever possible, the visual affecting your experience. This is all in furtherance of removing as much placebo as possible from the viewing experience of the show so that hopefully you can stay focused and zeroed in on what we do here, which is sound. Some other places in life that placebo rears its head could be something like patina on a cymbal, or let's get away from drums. Let's talk about an old dusty bottle of wine versus a brand new shiny one with a screw top from the store. Is one of them inherently better? Well, the wine is the question. Is the wine in the bottle better? It could be terrible. It could be vinegar now. Who knows? But our brains will see a thing, decide ahead of time how we feel about it, unbeknownst to us, and then we have to work our way back from that to have an objective perception of whatever it is that we're looking at. This can exist in terms of cars. This can exist in terms of cooking. If you've ever had food in a restaurant where everything was fantastic, except when they brought the plate, the food didn't look very good. Still tasted great, but you had an effect from just looking at it that the food tasting really good couldn't defeat. All of this is survival mechanisms that are built into us over, years and years and years of human evolution. But there are spots where now we can get into trouble with this, and we need to figure out how to turn this around and have tools for ourselves utilizing this kind of effect to allow us to have an easier time at the kit and get where we want to go. We have an opportunity here to take this effect that's built into all of us and flip it around and turn it into a tool. Now, for me, one of mine is the lighting in a practice room. If it's really bright, fluorescent lights like a lot of us have had at school or in practice spaces that you might rent into, that drives me crazy. I will always bring in something lower, something moodier, something more comfortable, because that kind of bright light is honestly just really distracting for me and it drives me crazy. I know people that need to have a certain kind of tea in a cup next to them to have a good practice session. I've known people that need to have like a beer on the gig. Just one. Not enough to really affect them that much, but if they don't have it, they're uncomfortable. And the effect that it's having is the actual placebo effect. It's not actually changing things for them, but their perception is adjusted by that experience. I invite you at this point to check out what you like and what you don't like when you're practicing. This can go for on the gig too, but particularly when we're on our own and we're trying to make a nice environment to improve and go deep into the music. What are the things that make it most comfortable for you? It can be absolutely anything, but if we can figure out what those things are, whether it's tea or lighting or graham crackers, whatever it is, figure out what it is, make sure you have it available, and turn it into a small little ritual for yourself that gets you in the mode so that you can have the best time possible. Taking this to the stage, whether you're in the audience or on stage and performing, the way that we experience a performance has a lot to do with the energy of the performers on stage. This doesn't mean that we have to consider ourselves outright entertainers or go super extreme with it, but if you've ever seen somebody playing on stage who just really looked like they didn't want to be there or looked super bored or morose or whatever it might be, but you shut your eyes and listen and they sound great, like they're doing the thing, this is a really, really distracting, really, really challenging thing to be around as a viewer. And on the flip side, if you're on stage and you're noticing that maybe your bandmates are feeling this, or you see some video of yourself and realize that you look like you don't want to be there when you know you do, it's not out of the realm of possibility and sensibility that we should analyze this in ourselves and make sure that the experience internally that we are having is getting telegraphed one way or another to the band and the audience. Because at the end of the day, playing well is communicating clearly, and we want to make sure that we're communicating clearly with our bodies and our energy and just smiling, something like that. Now, granted, a lot of us have had a playing experience where we would rather not have been there, or we were maybe just doing it for the money or as a favor for the friend, something like that. But even if it's like a wedding gig and they're asking you to play Billie Jean because it's their favorite song, which of these Billie Jeans do you want to see? Now, it's really hard to play like a Billie Jean style beat and look like you're having a bad time, but I've seen it, and I definitely am guilty of it at one time or another. So again, we're not asking you to turn into a flamboyant stage performer. This is just an opportunity to consider that the placebo effect, as the audience experience it and your bandmates experience it, can be affected by you, and it's worth looking at. The bottom line here is that these kinds of experiences that are divested a little bit from the actual sound that we're hearing are something that we can be at the mercy of, or something that we can utilize and turn into an opportunity for ourselves to improve our performance, improve our experience of music, and improve the experience of everybody on stage with us as well. This means for us that we got to pay attention to these things. We think about it every day here as we are performing for you. I mean, this is a performance, and it's really, really important for anyone who's performing to be aware of the effect that they're having on the audience, because at the end of the day, that's what we're there to do. And with that, thank you so much for watching. If you like what you saw, please follow the link below to the Patreon. Lots of opportunities to help support the show there. It's the best way to keep us going and continuing into, oh man, I don't know how many seasons of this we're going to do, but it's going to be a lot. And as always, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and tell us your placebo effect stories, because we all have them. I guarantee it.